Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Welcome back to the Contech On-Site podcast. Today, we're excited to host an incredible guest, Orry Ben Porath. Orry has a great diverse background in technology, government, sustainability, and marketing. Among Orry's many incredible accomplishments, Orry was an economic and foreign policy advisor to Israel's president office under Shimon Peres. He was also the CEO of Shikun Binui and Water and VP of Innovation and Sustainability. Shikun Binui is one of Israel's largest construction companies. Orry also played and continues to play a major role in Israel's construction landscape and led some incredible initiatives such as the Build Up Program and Open Innovation Lab for Infrastructure, also known as InfraLab. Today, Orry is the CEO of Built-in Tech Ventures, which he founded along with industry leaders focused on construction technology. If that is not enough, Orry also holds a BA in economics from Hebrew U and an MA in public administrations from Harvard University. Without further ado, super excited to host you. Welcome, Orry. Welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
Yeah, pleasure is mine. If I knew this would be the type of introduction I'll ask you. I'll have to ask you to do this every day. So it's a great pleasure to be with you. And you have started this great initiative of talking about construction tech, which in my view is sort of still, although it has been around for a few years now, sort of a less talked about topic. And it's about time that someone would pick up the glove and start discussing it and the potential and the challenges, etc. So good for you and happy to be here.
It's a real pleasure, Orry. I think, as you just said, it's a niche, right? Not a lot of companies and VCs entered this space. What really inspired you guys to invest in construction technology?
Well, my story with construction tech started in 2016, so quite a few years back. I was then VP with Shikun Binui, and Shikun Binui's board of directors approached me and said, listen, there's this word, it's called innovation. And Industry 4.0, we're a huge conglomerate, we're a very large company. We deal with construction and real estate and renewable energy and water treatment and all these fields. Orry, we need to do something about that. Please go tell us what we need to do as a company in all our fields of operations. I knew nothing about innovation in our field. And again, these were very early days, okay? In construction, specifically, and real estate, very few people talked about innovation in our fields. But I went and I read and I Googled, I knew nothing about it. I found this amazing paper written by McKinsey talking about how our fields are going to be digitized, how they're lagging behind, and how much potential is there by catching up with other industries and the level of innovation and digitization and all these areas. And they listed the technologies that they thought will happen and how the process of renewing these companies and the entire industry, how that's going to happen. And I read the paper, I read other papers as well, World Economic Forum. These were very early days, but we started from a program that was a basic innovation program. We told the entire ecosystem, the very small ecosystem back in the days, we told that a construction and real estate ecosystem, we are here. We are ready to host you in our sites, in our working sites under construction, under operation, what have you, real estate, student dorms, roads under operation, roads in construction. Come on, talk with us. We'll host you at our sites, no strings attached, because we want to learn. And we went out, we publicized this program. We did not know what's going to happen. We thought maybe we'll have five startups approach us, and we'll have a small thing, it'll be fun. But we got more than that. We got more than we expected. We got technologies that we never would have thought of them, if we were left to our own devices, right? Who would have thought of autonomous cranes or software technologies that talk about traffic efficiency, right? The flow of traffic efficiently, blowing the traffic, okay? These were beyond our wildest dreams. And that's when it clicked, okay? Because construction companies or real estate companies, they think about their upcoming project. They want to win the tender, and then they want to make some money, or at least not lose. That's their mindset. And here comes a new paradigm, which talks about, no, we can do it much better, in a much more efficient way, with less resources, with improved capabilities of management. Okay, and we'll talk about it in a second. So that's when, back in 2016, that's when, from a simple task, or what seemed to be simple task, put or set by the board of directors of Shikun and Binui to find out, our way in this, became something that that makes me full of energy until today. So that's how it all started. Wow,
incredible. Okay, so it's really like the experience that you gained was really like from within a large construction company, is trying to find we'll say in-house, like to just create a platform in which you guys will get exposure to the innovation in the space, and it ended up exceeding the expectations of what you initially were looking at.
Right. So we had the first, our first step was an internal an innovation program where, as I said, we invited startups from the outside. The next step was we created a partnership with Enel. Enel is a huge Italian company, and we won a tender by the Israeli Innovation Authority to set up and operate an open innovation lab. We won the tender, so we had this physical space in the port of Haifa, in the old port of Haifa. And we hosted startups in partnership with the Israeli Innovation Authority. That's when we started making investments in startups, leveraging funds of Innovation Authority. So yeah, that was our second step, which was amazing. Both a partnership with Enel, getting to know all these startups in the areas of energy and traffic and buildings, all these technologies that are around our physical infrastructure and around our built world.
Wow, incredible. I think you guys are pretty much one of the key, primarily VC to actually taking, actually investing, rather not only in Accelerate, but one of the very few venture funds that are actually investing in technology, also here in Israel. But I think your scope of investment is also always looking outwards as well, right? I'm asking.
Yeah. Naturally, we're focused. There's a lot to do here in Israel. The ecosystem is these days, it's not 2016 anymore when I started dealing with this. Ecosystem is pretty rich. There's a lot going on. So we're focusing on Israel. It's easier for us, and there's enough to do here, but also globally, we're looking for opportunities. The fund was founded by 4 partners, which is Sivan Tzemach Hammerman, Sivan Bitzua, Januszewski Construction, and Mr. Yuda Raveh, which is a very renowned person, a lawyer, and also an investor in Israel. And together with me, all of us were very enthusiastic about this space. So and many of the companies that we have invested in, they get to work and beta try or even commercially engage with the companies, the founding companies of Built in Tech, the fund which I manage. So we're looking at opportunities both in Israel and abroad. We're mostly interested in companies that are in the scale-up phase, right? Companies that have a product or very close to having a product. So we're not really interested in companies that are in the presentation stage or early in the POC stage. We're looking for companies with a more proven solution, which are looking to scale up, and this is where we try to help them.
Amazing, yeah. I think it's a really also, like, just as you describe it, when I looked at Built in Tech, I actually saw one of the more exciting VCs, given also the partners, having also the construction, execution, your background, and having Yudo also is one of the founders of Israel's infrastructure fund. It's actually a really exciting opportunity, I think, for a lot of startups who are interested, in having exposure to really strong strategic investor base. And I find that to be very exciting. But we're looking through your portfolio of investments, and there's some really exciting products from robotics all the way through to logistics, automation. What's the most exciting product you guys have today in your portfolio?
First of all, one thing about the fund, I agree with you. It's very exciting. One of the reason for my excitement is the partners and me. It's not a financial thing for us. Yeah, sure it is. We believe in the upside and all that. But moreover, we are truly enthusiastic about this. So separately and together, we do different things in this ecosystem. So we're really, we believe in it. We believe in the upside, of course. But also, truly, we believe that this industry deserves a makeover, okay? And a digitized makeover. That's about that. I won't talk about specific companies in our portfolio because I will talk about one, and then I'll offend others. We have truly great companies in our portfolio. I will talk about the areas which we or I believe in that are the most exciting. And from that, you could infer, you'll be able to infer about our portfolio. First area that I believe in construction tech deserves a lot of attention is the construction industry blind spot. Let's take, for example, a production facility, a production plant, production plant that produces soda drinks, okay? It has total visibility into what it does, right? It knows exactly how many workers are currently on site, what raw materials are being used, how much of them are being used, how much water, how much electricity is used, and of course, how many bottles did I produce at the end of the day, right? That's a standard production site plant, right? That's what we expect. To be as accurate as possible, usually it's down to the dollar. That's not the situation in construction. In construction, you have very limited visibility into who's on site, what's being done, is it done according to spec or not, what are the risks, not when we enter the project, but right now, how much did we do? All of those questions, which are standard managerial information that you need to get to make decisions, they're very limited in construction. So from that, you can understand that technologies that shed a light on these blind spots and eliminate them or dramatically reduce them, that's something that I or we are very interested in, okay? So, but it has to be not just a single use case, but it has to be a robust solution, okay? Something that, right, there's all this blind spot that I just detailed, right? All these managerial questions, information that you need to make decisions and to be profitable as a construction company. So I expect from startups to be put a flashlight not on a single question of those that I've listed, okay? So that's one area. Second area is times are changing, right? It's a cliche, but they are, okay? Now, we are used to think that, okay, there's all these jobs in construction that someone will do. The painting, the plastering, the flooring, the drilling, all these strenuous, sometimes dangerous, repetitive jobs, someone will do. But that's not reality anymore. And it becomes less and less so. People stay away from these jobs, mostly, of course, in the developed world, very much so. In the United States, in Europe, of course, in other developed countries, people don't want to do these jobs anymore. Along with social legislation and sustainability requirements, these jobs are getting more and more expensive. So the issue here is that there's a resource, which is the human resource, which is becoming less and less available on the one hand. On the other hand, we know that the demand for infrastructure and buildings and urbanization megatrends and all those currents, they're just driving the demand up more and more for these types of work. So something has to close that gap. And like in any other industry, that factor that will close that gap will be technology. naturally, what are we talking about? Okay, we're talking about robots, right? Who can perform these jobs? Robots. So when we are looking for at a startup, we're looking to see whether it solves a fundamental problem in the industry. Human labor, or the lack of human labor, is the fundamental problem in the developed world in this industry. And technology is the natural element to close that gap. So we're looking at blind spots to be hit by a very strong flashlight, and the necessity of replacing or adding workforce to the industry. So that's my answer to what technologies I prefer or look positively at.
Okay, so incredible. That's a lot of information. I think
sorry about that.
No, it's perfect. I mean, this is exactly the point of the podcast, and we really start off with saying you guys really deal a lot more with startups in the scale-up phase, right? In the scale phase, rather than ideation, or at least companies have a strong proof of concept already established. And when you're referring to the types of portfolio, like the types of companies, you don't want to pick and choose. They're children, I guess. So you don't pick and choose. But you're referring to two primary, really strong concepts, which is one, the blind spots. And there's so many blind spots that there's lacking information, there's inefficiencies going on there. And the other one is that there's this growing demand for construction and a significant decrease in people who find these construction jobs appealing. And so those are two areas of focus you guys look at.
Yeah, let me just add a simple statistics. It's a hearsay, but still it's very impressive. I had a conversation with a very large company in Europe that produces paint, a huge company. They told me that the average age of a painter in Germany is 50 years old.
Wow.
Right? That means there are no new entrants to this area, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are staying away from these jobs. So that's what I'm talking about, addressing the critical need of the industry.
Oh, wow, interesting. Okay, so and that's just one type of job, right? They went to the deeper you go, I think they're one of the, you referred to a McKinsey article before, but really one of the articles that I found somewhat amusing in the past was there was an article written on farmers in South America. And the key turning point of innovation adoption was when the owners, I would say the original owners of the farm, passed away. They were old, they didn't want technology, and their children came into the business, and they were looking for technology. And to extend, not to to wish everyone long-lived health and success, but there's a change of generation. There's just a change of perspective, and it's really interesting because these tradesmen who live and breathe the trade, they're getting significantly older. That's really interesting. It leads us to the next question, which is, I think you just discussed the investment strategy. We just discussed what kind of startups could actually reach out. Funds are always raising capital. It's a way of life of a fund, and it's interesting. What are ideal LPs? And also today, how would you inspire your message, inspiring? Obviously, not a self-promotion or anything, but just from your perspective as an investor who took that step, who had the courage to move forward. What would you say to encourage investors to enter this phase? And then, as a side note, and another thing, what is the ideal type of LP that would be relevant to a fund like Built-in Tech?
The inspiration comes from the fact that when you look at all these industries, and you can look up the papers by McKinsey and others, you can see, these firms have analyzed the level of and measured the level of digitization in different industries. And construction, from all the industries, is second from the bottom, second only in the level of digitization, second only to hunting and fishery or something like that. So, when you look as an investor and you're saying, okay, what's left? Tourism, technology, food tech, all the cyber, social, all these industries or areas for investment, they're they're already right. There's there's so much competition there in terms of right, and so much not a lot of value to add by the startups. Okay, in construction, there's a lot of value to add, and this is the time to come in and invest. Okay, construction, the level of digitization is still far behind. You'll see if you read the papers. Investments is growing up dramatically in the field, but it's still way behind. Health tech, food tech, tourism tech, all those are way ahead, the level of investment. But construction and real estate, they're huge markets globally. Okay, construction is about $13 trillion annually, an annual global market. So there's a lot to gain. So if you're looking right and what to invest next, the field to invest next, we believe that construction tech is up there, should be up there. Who's the relevant LP? Anyone who understands that and want to be a part of it.
And I think I'm always saying somewhere there are people writing around $13 trillion of checks around the world. Someone's writing those checks. And the question is, what companies are going to be able to capture that market share? Who's going to be able to get some of those checks written to them? Especially in terms of the technology fit, and it's such a big market opportunity. It's unbelievable. And so it leads me into another question, which is more facing the construction companies. And as a fund who's investing in products that are primarily meant to service the construction industry, the supply chain, maybe anywhere along those chains. What's your maybe call for inspiration for these guys to implement, and maybe what is and also especially because you came from construction, what is something that you could say and be inspiring for them to understand the opportunity for themselves as well?
Right. I'll go back to something that, well, there's something we didn't discuss yet, and this is the time to discuss it, right? The successful companies or the successful startups are the ones that, they're trying to revolutionize and come up with a robust solution that answers more than one problem or challenge. But also, an important factor, especially in construction technology is to understand the industry. Construction industry is very different from other industries. The market is fragmented. Okay? There's the general contractor, there's the developer, there are subcontractors with different disciplines. You have to understand how a project is formed and how a construction site operates. You can disrupt it, but you have to understand what's going on. You have to understand who's your customer. You have to understand that there are things that will take more time to change, okay? The dynamics or the separation of roles, a single startup won't be able to change that regardless of the strength of its solution. There are some things that are just too hard to break. So successful startups need to understand, first of all, of course, technology, team, all those things. You have to know the challenge you're facing and accept that your lifetime, not your personal, right, but the top startups' lifetime will only be able to address some of the challenges, not all of them. You won't be able to change market dynamics that have been built through ages, right? You have to accept reality. You have to have the will to disrupt it, but accept some sort of forms and separation of responsibilities and duties and etc. in this and dynamics in this specific market. So the go-to strategy is very, very important from early days of the startups in this industry. It's not a simple task. And I've seen technologies that were great, that they bring a lot of value, but it's unclear who the customer is, who's going to pay for it at the end of the day because of this separation or hierarchy, which entails a difference in responsibilities. There's a developer. He has his tasks and responsibilities. General construction, subcontractors, each of them has a different role. You have to know who you're selling to, who's going to pay for this.
So I think that's like such an invaluable insights that to really the startups entering this space. It is such a difficult space to enter. And would you say that there's something specific, like at a construction company from their end, from their angle, why? Because by the way, also we're seeing that most of the investors today in the space happen to be CVCs, corporate venture capital, that are investment arms of construction companies. I think they share a host of fallacies that make it challenging for them to objectively invest in the next best thing versus cater to their own portfolios. But if I'm a big construction company and I'm on the verge right now of saying, let's digitize, let's adopt the product, or let's just stick to our guns. Our margins are still working for us. We're good. What would you say, maybe to inspire that decision?
I'll say it's very simple. I'll say go to the websites of any medium to large global construction company. You'll see that, I don't want to say all of them, but the vast majority are dealing with this issue in some form or another. Whether it's an internal innovation program, whether it's a CVC, whether it's competitions, cooperations, what have you. Companies that look beyond tomorrow, right? They're looking at the day after tomorrow. They know they have to A, see what's going on, B, evaluate and implement whatever makes sense to them in their operations, in their management capabilities, in the information they're getting from construction sites. So that's the inspiration. Everybody's doing it, and for a good reason. Technologies have matured enough to go into the physical areas of our life, the most difficult physical areas of our life. That's why we see the rise in investment in construction in the past few years. So if you're not doing it today because, business is okay and what have you, that's something to reconsider, at least in my opinion. You have to take on some risk to test new technologies, find your own path and way of doing it, but it's something to seriously consider.
Okay, amazing. So right now we're going to move on. So this is more of a gamified part of the conversation. We'll throw a bunch of words at you and you can throw out your initial association with a word, okay? However you'd like, and then we'll wrap it up. Are you ready?
Ready to go.
Construction.
Remake.
Okay, technology.
Construction.
Project managers.
Technology.
Investors.
Disruption.
Okay, I think we're good. This is the first, what's it called? Okay, it was interesting, and I'm super excited I think there's some really valuable information here for the listeners. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you sharing your time and insights. I think it'll go a really long way. Orry, thank you very much for joining the podcast.
The pleasure is mine. And again, if you're free tomorrow, I'll happy to do it again.
Okay.
Thanks. You're amazing, and this initiative is great, so good for you.
Okay, thank you, Orry. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, man.